that you have 1 minute left, and then the final signal means that your time is up. Okay? Now, normally debaters are allowed a 1 minute grace, and by that I mean that you're allowed to go over your time by 1 minute and 1 minute only. Thereafter, the judges may deduct points. Okay? It is we leave it up to their discretion, and if they do, we will inform you. After each speaker, as the moderator, I've announced the time that the person took for delivering their submissions. Okay? Before we introduce our speakers, because they're the most important, so we're going to save the best for last, I'm just going to do a brief intro of our judges. Today with us, we have 3 judges with us here today, and I'll begin with our chief judge, who is Mr. Brenton Hilliard. Mr. Brenton Hilliard is the agency manager of Surgical Life EC Dominica, and he has been in the insurance industry for over 14 years with experience in administration and sales. Our second judge is Ms. Marie-Ange Emmanuel, who holds a bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Nottingham, UK. She currently works at the Central Statistics Office and is an active member of the Rotary Club of Roseau. And our third judge is Mrs. Nicole Laville, who is the Director of Engineers at the Dominica Hospital Authority. She holds a bachelor's in biomedical engineering and a master's degree in mechanical engineering and business administration. Outside of work, Nicole is passionate about music and enjoys singing. And so we just want to welcome our judges and thank them for giving us their time this afternoon. And now it's time to introduce the stars of the debate here today. Alright, so we will begin, of course, with our proposing speakers, or the speakers from the proposing team, that is the Wesley High School, as I call your name. Audience, we will just give them a round of applause, and then they will come and take their seats at the tables at the front. Alright? On behalf of the Wesley High School, the lead speaker, Miss Adore Defoe. Is a performer, and she says outside of the school activities and school curriculum, she enjoys singing, or in fact, to quote her, she sings well. Okay? And I asked her who inspires her in terms of singers that she knows, and she said her cousin, who is my namesake, Indira. So she looks to her cousin for her singing aspirations and inspiration. All right? Welcome, Adore. Our second speaker from the Wesley High School is Miss Nayola A. Allen, and she said to make sure I said it A. Allen. Nayola, apart from her debating skills and her academic prowess, she's also an athlete. She likes to dance and she plays volleyball. And she says she finds inspiration, or she looks at athletes like Shakara Richardson, who we know is a sprinter to the United States, and also in terms of volleyball, she's inspired by Melissa Vargas. So anybody here who plays volleyball and who follows volleyball is probably familiar with Mrs. or Miss Vargas. Right? On the opposing side, Orion Academy, our lead speaker, who is no stranger to the debating stage, Mr. Jazz Maxwell. Let's welcome him. Okay, Jazz is a volleyball player as well, and he also likes playing chess. He says that one of the most famous chess players that he likes to, or he would like to probably emulate one day, would be Magnus Carlsen. Second speaker of the Orion Academy is Miss Hafsa Francois. Hafsa says that during her non-academic time she likes to bake, and specifically cakes. Okay. All right, so now we have our debaters up front. We'll once again, especially for those who are joining us now, especially online, the topic that is going to be debated today is beauty pageants are outdated in a modern society focused on diversity and inclusion. All right? I know our debaters are probably filled with butterflies right now, okay, but just give me 1 or Alright? There's something important that we must do before we actually begin the debate formally, and that is to acknowledge our sponsors. Alright? Everybody is an essential player in this debate, but without the sponsors, we'll not have this nice debate. It'll probably just be a regular debate somewhere else, but we have gifts, we have the media, we have things in place, and we need to thank the people who are responsible for this really excellent organization. So I'll begin. We have the National Bank of Dominica, Republic Bank, Jay's Bookstore Limited, the Wasco, DBS Radio, Q95 FM Radio, Domlec, Morrow and Company Limited, National Cooperative Credit Union, Fort Young Hotel, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, HHV Whitchurch and Company Limited, Lindu Mart, Insurance Company of the West Indies, Fine Foods Inc., KFC, Catherine Abraham, Dr. Joshua Lloyd and Mrs. Carencia Lloyd, Civic Vibes, Maysil Pascal and Grace Foundation, Janine Christian, Freeman Consulting Limited, and we also have on board with us for this round, Finance Focus and the Watering Can. Finance Focus today is responsible for the prize for our best speaker, and the Watering Can will take care of our judges' tokens. We also have some partners who we need to mention: Dominica State College Literary and Debating Society, the University of the West Indies Global Campus, Ministry of Education, HR Planning, Vocational Training and National Excellence, and Exquisite Events and Rentals. Just give them a round of applause. And okay, just bear with us as we ensure that the mic is working properly so that our debaters are not put off by any technical difficulties. You know what happens? Those of us following Calypso, we know what that can be. Right? We don't want the same thing happening to our students. When you have technical glitches, that can throw off an already nervous person, right? So let's just make sure. Testing. All right. Okay, so we'll begin the debates. I know you're probably tired of hearing the debaters. But for the people joining us right now, and for those of us who were paying attention earlier, the debate topic for today: beauty pageants are outdated in a modern society focused on diversity and inclusion. And we're going to start off the debate. I wish I had a bell so I could ring, ding, 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 ding. All right, so we'll call up to the podium our first speaker, the lead speaker for the Wesley High School, Miss Adore People.
Honorable judges, esteemed moderator, my most worthy opponents, my respected colleagues, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My colleague and I affirm the motion: beauty pageants are outdated in a modern society focused on inclusivity and diversity. Madam Moderator, to put this topic in perspective, allow me to define the key terms. Beauty pageants, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, are competitions in which contestants are judged on their physical beauty and sometimes talent or personality. Outdated, as defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, means no longer in current use or fashion. Modern society refers to contemporary civilization with its emphasis on progress and evolving social norms. As defined by the Cambridge Dictionary, focused means giving a lot of attention to one particular thing. Diversity, as defined by the United Nations, is the multitude of differences that exist between people, including race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, religion, ability, and socioeconomic background. Diversity emphasizes the presence and acceptance of differences. Inclusion, again per the United Nations, is the process of improving the terms of participation for people who are disadvantaged, excluded, or marginalized. It goes a step further by welcoming, respecting, and valuing differences. Therefore, my colleague and I will demonstrate that beauty pageants, due to their lack of genuine commitment to fostering an environment that truly values and embraces contestants regardless of their appearance, race, gender, or socioeconomic status, are an outdated relic belonging to a bygone society, not one that reflects modern values. My colleague will tackle the critical issue of lack of diversity, while I focus on lack of inclusion. I will demonstrate how beauty pageants, by their very nature, perpetuate exclusivity and fail to embody the inclusive values our modern society demands. Madam Moderator, in beauty pageants, exclusivity always seems to raise its head in some form or fashion. In all beauty pageants, there are criteria for eligibility. How do terms and conditions even make a pageant inclusive? CBC Radio, in an article captioned, "Moms and Short People Need Not Apply," states, if you want to be crowned the epitome of beauty and elegance in France, you have to be unmarried, childless, no older than 24, and at least 5 feet 5 inches. Madam Moderator, even the black, clearly, these requirements fail not only to reflect the plurality of French society, but also excludes countless young women from even being considered. For example, if the organizers of Miss France were genuinely serious about inclusion, their language would not be so rigidly precise. Brazen discrimination was also shown in 2018, when Veronika Ditsekinu, Miss Ukraine, was unjustly stripped of her title simply because she was a mother, underscoring the deeply rooted discrimination against motherhood in beauty pageants. Madam Moderator, in our modern society, unmarried, childless, at 26? Furthermore, in most beauty pageants, applicants are required to submit a full body picture in swimwear. Why is that? Why would the organizers of these pageants need a picture of their applicants in swimwear? I am certain it is not to see how talented they are, or how assertive and independent they can be. Clearly, the applicant's picture in swimwear is required to select who they deem attractive, appealing, or even beautiful. Can you imagine? In 2025, applicants in the Dominica Beauty Pageant have to submit their weight, and contestants are placed on strict diets and mandatory gym schedules to 1, ensure they don't gain weight, 2, maintain a certain weight, shape, and size, and finally 3, for some, to ensure that they lose weight. It is like saying a woman's worth is measured in inches and pounds. In a world that is finally waking up to body positivity, are these archaic displays truly relevant? I say, no way. You will admit that beauty pageants all have a hidden agenda. We seem programmed to comment on the body size of prospective contestants and remark that this one, she can never win due to her size. This was apparent when it was alleged that a plus-size contestant in Dominica's beauty pageant failed to emerge winner or even secure a place due to her size, even after winning so many of the segments. So it is clear, even when there is an attempt at inclusivity, it doesn't work, thus rendering these beauty pageants outdated. How can this be inclusion in a modern world where women are expected to love their bodies? How? Secondly, Madam Moderator, beauty pageants are outdated since they fail miserably at reflecting the inclusive values our modern society strives for. Isn't it ironic that we're here debating the relevance of beauty pageants in a modern society, which is actively fighting against the objectification of women? The very structure of these pageants often reinforces harmful traditional gender roles, such as women as sex objects. The emphasis on evening gowns, swimwear competitions, and the like perpetuates the idea that a woman's primary value lies in her physical attractiveness. For example, the judging criteria for the swimwear round in the JC's Caribbean Queen Show is as follows. Muscle tone, 10 points. Poise, 10 points. Proportion, 10 points. Selection and fit, 10 points. Stage personality, 10 points. And finally, attractiveness, 10 points. Most of this highlights physical attractiveness. Is this the kind of inclusion we should be celebrating? True inclusion means valuing individuals for their unique qualities and contributions, not for their conformity to a narrow standard of beauty. Beauty pageants, in their current form, fail this fundamental test. Madam Moderator, it is clear that beauty pageants have a relentless focus on physical perfection, which perpetuates a dangerous cycle of self-objectification, particularly among young girls, leading to low self-esteem and an unhealthy obsession with unattainable beauty standards. Let's not get it twisted. In a modern world, grappling with issues like gender equality, body positivity, and social justice, beauty pageants remain stubbornly rooted in outdated values. This dissonance between the values promoted by pageants and the realities of modern womanhood is a stark reminder of their irrelevance in today's society. Studies have shown a correlation between beauty pageants and body image issues, particularly among young women. In the Journal of Social Psychology in 2014, found that participants in beauty pageants showed higher levels of self-objectification, lower body satisfaction, and were more likely to engage in unhealthy dieting behaviors. The study argued that the pageant's focus on physical appearance exacerbates the societal pressure on women to conform to a beauty ideal, thus objectifying them. A research from the American Psychological Association showed that over 50% of young girls feel pressured to conform to unrealistic beauty standards, a pressure reinforced by beauty pageants. Miss Universe 2021, Hernan Sandu, faced scrutiny and criticism for natural body changes. So how can we claim to be an inclusive society when by design we promote events that have such a negative impact on the self-esteem and well-being of so many? My most worthy opponents may argue that beauty pageants have evolved into an avenue for young women to obtain scholarships or a chance at a better life. But at what cost? A February 16, 2022 article in the Washington Post stated that many contestants find themselves caught in a cycle where their worth is measured solely by their appearance rather than their intellect or their character. These competitions focus on superficial qualities that can hinder personal development and reinforce sexist, regressive, and damaging societal norms. Are these the values and norms that we are to promote? In conclusion, Madam Moderator, beauty pageants are antiquated since they perpetuate exclusivity and fail to reflect the inclusive values that our modern society strives for. Their outdated standards, objectification of women, and potential for harm have no place in a modern society that values diversity and inclusion. It is time to retire this relic of the past and embrace a more inclusive and holistic definition of beauty. Beauty pageants have no place in a truly inclusive society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adore. She spoke for 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Next, we call on the lead speaker for the opposing team, the Orion Academy, Mr. John.
Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, members of the audience and media, and my capable opponents, good afternoon and welcome. Beauty pageants have long been a stage for grace, elegance, and poise. But in today's world, they are so much more. They are a showcase of empowerment, self-expression, and inclusivity. Pageants today are not merely about physical expression. They provide a platform for contestants to advocate for social causes, promote cultural representation, and inspire confidence for individuals of all backgrounds. That is why my teammates and I are resolute in our opposition to the narrow-minded view that beauty pageants are outdated in a modern society focused on inclusivity and diversity. We would prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that modern beauty pageants are more relevant now than ever before because they embody and celebrate the kind of diverse representation that is the hallmark of our times. First though, allow me to define a few key terms in this notion. The Cambridge Dictionary defines pageant as a competition in which women are judged on their beauty, but also on other qualities such as personality and talent. According to the Oxford English Dictionary, diversity is defined as the practice or quality of including or involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds. Similarly, it defines inclusion as the practice or policy of including people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized. Honorable judges, our argument will be supported by 4 undeniable points. The first two being, 1, modern-day beauty pageants promote and celebrate a wide range of skills and talents. 2, there is greater inclusion, representation, and diversity in pageants than ever before. My eloquent teammate will outline and expound on the last 2. Honorable judges, it is important to recognize that modern pageants are not just about who looks best in an evening gown. The industry has evolved. Modern-day beauty pageants promote and celebrate a wide range of skills and talents. This is why they have a wide range of awards and categories. Madam Moderator, take for example the recent Miss OECS pageant, which was held in Dominica and won by reigning Carnival Queen Kiana Dyer. Anyone who was paying attention could clearly see that this was not a shallow focus on physical appearance or some crude attempt to objectify these young women. Rather, it was a showcase of empowerment and a celebration of female talent. There were awards such as the Miss Visionary Award for the Best Promotional Video and the Miss Amity Award given to the contestant who was the most warm and personable. Our very own Kiana Dyer won the Creative National Wear Award, and there was also an award for Best Interview Response. Honorable judges, clearly a broad range of unique skills and assets were cultivated, celebrated, and rewarded as a result of this pageant. Dr. Jules, Director General of the OECS Commission, stated, and I quote, "The Miss OECS pageant continues to be a vibrant celebration of the talent, creativity, and cultural richness that define our region. We are proud to support an initiative that not only showcases the brilliance of our young women, but also encourages unity and collaboration among our member states. Will be opponents, this is diversity and inclusion at its finest. Just take, for example, the 2024 Miss Universe contestant who represented Trinidad and Tobago. As a 32-year-old plus-sized dark-skinned woman, Janelle Tongs was older than the usual contestant and had an atypical body size and skin tone. Yet, she won against 10 other contestants in Trinidad, and she won the title of Miss Congeniality at the Miss Universe pageant. What a fine representation of the positive evolution of pageantry. And speaking of diversity, pageants such as Miss Plus America celebrate fuller-figured women, proving that beauty is not defined by size. Also, the Miss International Elegant Mothers pageant highlights the grace and resilience of mothers. Our very own Hendrika Smith represented Dominica. You may remember that she became somewhat of a social media sensation, but not in a positive way. But judges, you know what this shows? The ones who show the greatest lack of inclusivity are not the pageant officials and organizers, but the negative people criticizing from the comfort of their own home. According to an article on Dominican News Online, the show organizers issued a public statement on their Facebook page condemning the actions of some viewers. They stated, and I quote, "This platform is all about uplifting, empowering, and recognizing mothers around the globe. We do not discriminate, nor do we tolerate cyberbullying. We allow mothers to be ambassadors, leaders, and influencers for their country. Again, inclusion and diversity at its finest." Honorable judges, I suspect my opponents are stuck in the mindset of about half a century ago where pageants were very, very different. My team interviewed Chief Cultural Officer and Pageant Coordinator Raymond Lawrence, who admitted that in the late 1940s and early 1950s, the Queen was chosen based mainly on physical attractiveness. But as he described the evolution of the Miss Dominica pageant, it became abundantly clear that it is so far from where it began. He stated that in the early days, there would simply be a few practices leading up to the competition, but now the contestants have to participate in many public appearances and interviews where they promote themselves and the local businesses that sponsor them. They are learning skills such as marketing, public speaking, networking, and organization. Furthermore, Madam Moderator, the pageant takes real-world issues into consideration. Contestants use their platforms to advocate for social change, mental health awareness, education, and female empowerment. As a matter of fact, Mr. Lawrence stated, and I quote, "I would not even call it a beauty pageant anymore, just a pageant, because now it is so much more than physical beauty." Clearly, pageants have been moving with the times, which brings me to my next point. Today, there is greater inclusion, diversity, and representation in modern-day beauty pageants. Madam Moderator, one of the greatest misconceptions about pageants is that they are exclusive and restrictive, but the truth is quite the opposite. Modern-day pageantry welcomes women from all walks of life, embracing diversity in ways that were once unimaginable. Capable opponents, did you know there are even pageants for men? Pageants such as Man of the World and Mr. International give men an opportunity to showcase their skills and talents as well. Once more, inclusion and diversity at its finest. And Madam Moderator, allow me to go one step further. According to People magazine, just last year in 2024, Bailey Ann Kennedy made history as the first transgender woman to win Miss Maryland USA. Now, while we may all have our personal views on this very polarizing subject, honorable judges, let's be honest, it does not get any more diverse, modern, and inclusive than that. So I struggle to comprehend how my opponents can even suggest that pageants are outdated. Clearly, pageantry has kept up with our changing times. In conclusion, we cannot look to what pageants used to be decades ago as a justification for the rigid and inaccurate view that they have become outdated. As philosopher Socrates once said, the secret of change is not to focus all of your energy on fighting the old, but on building the new. Honorable judges, the evidence is overwhelming. Pageants are not outdated relics of the past, but dynamic platforms have continued to uplift and evolve with society. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charles. Charles's time was 9 minutes and 36 seconds. Now we call on the second speaker for the proposing team, Ms. Nayola A. Ali.
Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, organizers, audience, my most worthy opponents, and my respected colleague, good afternoon. My colleague has ably illustrated that beauty pageants have outlived their purpose and do not mesh with a modern society focused on inclusion. And I will be looking at its lack of diversity. My most worthy opponents, do beauty pageants sincerely welcome diversity? No, they simply do not. Both historically and in our modern society, beauty pageants fail to represent the diversity of our world as they underrepresent 1. Asians and indigenous people, 2. Afrocentric beauty, and 3. LGBTQ individuals. Ladies and gentlemen, how many times have you seen a beauty pageant winner who truly represents the beauty that exists within our world? This apparent lack of diversity has done well in making the old adage, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, a myth. Despite some progress, there is lack of racial, cultural representation, and diversity in premier pageants like Miss America, Miss USA, and Miss Universe, as Asian and indigenous beauty remains underrepresented. A 2021 Harvard study found that only 1.6% of winners in major pageants came from indigenous backgrounds. Miss Universe has been won by only 11 Asian women in over 70 years, despite Asia having over 4.7 billion people. That is 60% of the global population. A 2019 study by the Fashion Spot found that only 15% of international pageant winners had East or Southeast features, meaning the vast majority do not reflect the diversity of this region. Additionally, most winners from Asia, example, India and the Philippines, often conform to Eurocentric beauty ideals. For example, lighter skin, delicate features, and westernized fashion trends. Which leads me to my second point. Afrocentric beauty features such as dark skin, broad noses, and natural hair have been historically overlooked or even discriminated against in global pageants. For example, in 2019, Zosie Bini Tunzi, Miss Universe from South Africa, made headlines as one of the few dark-skinned women with short natural hair to win. Before her win, only 5 black women had ever won Miss Universe since its inception in 1952. In 2021, Miss France Clemence Botino, a woman of African descent, faced racial abuse after her win, highlighting the deep-rooted prejudices against non-European beauty. Beauty pageants in many countries still promote skin lightening treatments, reinforcing colorism. Miss India pageants have been criticized for choosing fair-skinned winners despite most Indians having darker complexions. A study published in Feminism and Psychology in 2018 analyzed the representation of women of color in beauty pageants and found that while representation has increased, these women are often still subjected to scrutiny and judged according to Eurocentric beauty standards. Their features are often exoticized rather than celebrated as expressions of diverse beauty. Their features, my most worthy opponents. Is discrimination synonymous to diversity? Even in Dominica, how many times have we seen contestants with their natural hair or representing their diverse cultural backgrounds? This lack of representation sends a clear message that certain types of beauty are more valued than others. In this day and age of diversity, beauty pageants not only struggle to embrace racial, ethnic, and gender diversity, but have limited representation for LGBTQ+ contestants. Although the LGBTQ+ community is increasing, Raju Akon, in a 2024 article entitled "A Detailed Analysis of the LGBTQ+ Community," reveals that 5 to 10% of the world's population identifies as LGBTQ+. Given a global population of 8 billion, this translates to an estimated 400 to 800 million LGBTQ+ individuals. Madam Moderator, most beauty pageants do not have LGBTQ+ participants, stating that many participants must be women from birth. In a modern society that values diversity, acceptance, cohesion, and equality, can you honestly say that beauty pageants achieve these goals? My most worthy opponents, we will admit that attempts at transgender diversity have been made in some pageants, but the numbers show that the true diversity remains out of reach. It is like putting a band-aid on a broken leg. It doesn't fix the underlying issue. Representation is not about a handful of exceptions. It's about genuine, widespread change. My most worthy opponents. Only 3 openly transgender women have ever competed in Miss Universe since the rule change in 2012. A 2023 study by Gay and Lesbian Alliance Against Defamation found that less than 5% of contestants in major beauty pageants publicly identified as LGBTQ+. How diverse is that? In conclusion, beauty pageants with their narrow beauty standards and history of exclusion are simply outdated. They fail to celebrate the true diversity of beauty that exists in our society. They are a relic of the past, clinging to outdated notions of beauty and representation, and have no place in a modern society that celebrates diversity in all forms. It is time to move beyond these outdated spectacles and embrace a more inclusive vision of beauty, one that celebrates individuality, diversity, and inner strength. The time for exclusion is over. Inclusion and real diversity must take center stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Nayola. And you recall that the second speakers are each about 7 minutes. Ms. Nayola Allen spoke for 7 minutes and 2 seconds. The second speaker from the opposing side, Ms. Hafsa Francois, to deliver her submission.
Honorable judges, Madam Moderator, distinguished audience members, and my capable opponents, good afternoon to you all. Beauty pageants are a long-standing tradition that have evolved over the years. Yet, they still continue to face criticism in a world where diversity and inclusion take center stage. However, it is time to acknowledge the benefits that beauty pageants hold and recognize that they are not truly outdated. My teammate has already expounded on 2 key points, and I will now further our argument by addressing 2 more. First, the perception that beauty pageants are superficial stems from human bias rather than the structure of the competitions themselves. Second, beauty pageants offer more benefits than we often give them credit for, serving as platforms for empowerment, personal growth, and social change. With these arguments in mind, let us reevaluate the true impact of beauty pageants and consider their place in our evolving society. Dear judges, we have all heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover. But let's be honest, it's what we do every day. From the vagrant we cross the street to avoid, to the friendlier looking cashier we gravitate towards when shopping. Humans are subjective, full stop. Our entire existence is dependent on our ability to gauge appearance, tone, and differences in the people around us. Even the American Bar Association, in their 2020 article entitled, "Everyone is a Little Bit Biased," acknowledges this fundamental truth. And I quote, "Everyone has biases, it's true. Having a bias doesn't make you a bad person, however, and not every bias is negative or harmful. It's not recognizing biases that can lead to bad decisions at work, in life, and in relationships." End quote. Even in the very debates that we're currently partaking in, there are preferences and biases. Look less stiff, Hafsa. Stop fidgeting, Hafsa. Make eye contact. These are all critiques that my coach has given me to ensure that I meet the public speaking standard. It is a known preference that debaters stand squarely and have proper enunciation. Does this now mean that we should ban speakers with speech impediments or scoliosis? Is it right to say that debate competition should be eradicated due to natural judge bias? No, obviously not. Judges of all competitions are asked to put aside their biases and judge fairly based on other criteria. In an interview with Raymond Lawrence, when asked about this, he said, and I quote, "The costumes take creativity. It's the effect it has on the judges, not just the beauty." End quote. So, even in the round of pageantry, where visual spectacle is the focus, other criteria still matter. The real issue isn't natural human visual bias, it's how we choose to respond to it. we can either allow it to dictate unfair standards, or we can work towards a more inclusive approach. In pageantry, this means shifting the focus from outdated beauty ideals to competitions that celebrate diversity, talent, and empowerment. That's why modern pageants are evolving to embrace a wider spectrum of beauty, showcasing women of all sizes, backgrounds, and ages. Pageants, such as Miss Pleasantly Plump and Beautiful in Dominica and Miss British Beauty Club in the UK, are centralized on promoting the beauty and charm of our plus-sized women. Local competition, National Madam Wobduye pageant, gives older women past the typical pageant age the opportunity to shine and show off our culture. The Dominica Carnival Mother's Queen Show is an exceptional example. Of subverting typical pageant norms and allowing mothers to be the focus. The times are not only changing, they have already been shown to change. Diversity and inclusion are not some far-off concepts. They exist right here, right now, in our world. What needs to change is our perception of pageantry and our narrow view of who is deemed fit for pageants. Throw away that bias and pageantry becomes so much more. This brings me to my next point. Pageants are more beneficial than we give them credit for. Madam Moderator, my opponents are only telling half the story. For the past 17 minutes, they have painted pageants in the most inflammatory shade of red. However, they have failed to mention some key facts. In the earlier mentioned interview with Raymond Lawrence, when asked about the prizes winners of local pageants, such as Miss Dominica or Miss Teen Dominica received, he mentioned, and I quote, that winners receive about 20-something miscellaneous prizes, so there is definitely no shortage, end quote. Winners receive scholarships, cash prizes, and so much more. Contrary to popular belief, the true rewards of these competitions aren't beauty regimens or fancy dresses. They are scholarships that open doors for young women. These pageants invest in education, not just appearance, proving that success is measured by more than just looks. According to our interview with Mr. Lawrence, for the Miss Teen Dominica pageant, there is not only one scholarship, but two. One, a full scholarship to Dominica State College, and the other, a scholarship providing the necessary books to complete their secondary education. Imagine how many doors winning these pageants can open for young girls. It is clear to see that beauty pageants are not just the superficial competitions my opponents would like you to believe. They have a real-world impact for the young women who participate in them. These prizes are a reward for all the hard work these girls beauty. Beauty pageants are not just strutting your stuff, smiling with a wave, then receiving a trophy. It is so much more than that. The girls have to train in walking, speaking, talent, posture, you name it. Then, they still have to advocate for a cause of their choosing. Even more, they are the ambassadors of their sponsors and face scrutiny if they do not do their sponsors justice. All of this pressure and all of this hard work, just for someone to reduce it to, she just win because she's pretty. Can we see that pageants are not the ones bringing down women? The participation in a beauty pageant brings about holistic development that increases not only outer beauty, but inner beauty. Miss Adisia Burton, 2023 winner of the Miss Dominica pageant, answered, when asked about the objectification of women in pageants and her experience, open quote. The Miss Dominica pageant played a pivotal role in my personal journey of growth and acceptance that allowed me to feel confidence in my skin. We had many training sessions, from communication, mentorship, and modeling sessions that empower participants. To me, pageants push you to learn and discover more about yourself and the community you represent. Through my journey, I developed a very supportive system and network which propelled my success, not just in the pageant world, but in my personal and professional life. End quote. Clearly, these are the words of someone who pageants have greatly benefited, not only on stage, but in her personal life. Over the years, pageants have evolved into an event that's not just a fashion show, but an event displaying the charm and intelligence of women. Let's move past the outdated ideas of pageantry and focus on their true value. An event with the power to help us celebrate the diversity, talent, and empowerment of women. Therefore, let us promote inclusive pageantry that supports the norm. Thank you.
Thank you to Hafsa. She spoke for 7 minutes and 24 seconds. And so this ends both sides have put their main arguments forward. And now we go into rebuttal preparation. Like I said before, the teams have 5 minutes to prepare. During that time, we'll ask you to respect their time and to remain as quiet as you can. Check your phones, make sure you don't have any alarms or coming. Turn them off. Put your phones on silent or turn them off. Okay? The 5 minutes will begin after I take my seat, so in the meantime you will already start to prepare and the timekeeper will give you the heads up. Okay? debaters, your 5 minutes are up. During the rebuttal, each side, as I said before, will speak for 3 minutes. The speakers are the leads for both teams, and so we'll call upon the lead of the proposing team, that is Ms. Adori Difo of the Wesley High School, to deliver the rebuttal on behalf of the school.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon once again. My colleague and I have listened carefully to the points our opponents raised, and we stand here before you to oppose them. One of the claims my opponents made was that modern-day beauty pageants promote and celebrate skills and talents. I ask, how is that? In a society, especially in Dominica, where, as I stated, a plus-size contestant won so many of the segments, but she didn't win. But they celebrate skills and talent. She won so many of the segments that had skills and talents. Yet, because she was plus-size, she didn't win the crown. And another point my opponents brought up was that beauty pageants today have greater inclusion and diversity. Well, as my colleague stated, only 1.6% of winners in major pageants come from indigenous backgrounds. And there are only 5% of LGBTQ individuals allowed or openly state they are gay in these pageants. How can we say that there is greater inclusion and diversity when it is so clear that the abundance of diversity in this world is underrepresented in these beauty pageants? Another claim my opponents made was that beauty pageants offer benefits such as scholarships, cash prizes, and they advocate a cause for their choosing. I want to say, while some pageants do offer scholarships, the amount is often insignificant compared to the cost and time required to compete. They put so much thought into the dresses and creativity into the into the outfit that they wear, that they often do not have, that the scholarships often do not account for the countless money they have spent, money and time they have spent to create these dresses and quote-unquote cultural wares. Honorable judges, my colleague and I have proven without a shadow of a doubt that beauty pageants are outdated in a modern society. No matter how progressive they appear, pageants by their very nature perpetuate exclusivity and fail to embody the inclusive values our modern society strives for. They do not cater to diverse society. Thank you.
Thank you, Adore. And now, on behalf of the Orion Academy, Mr. Jazz Maxwell will deliver the rebuttals. Just to let you know that Adore spoke for 3 minutes and 1 second.
Good afternoon to all once again. Honorable judges, my opponents have only succeeded in proving that they themselves have a biased and outdated view of beauty pageants, not that pageants themselves are outdated. My opponents stated that beauty pageants reinforce narrow and unrealistic beauty standards. They also stated that beauty pageants fail to reflect diversity of the real world. This is false. My team's research has already proven this wrong. As we have already stated, there have been numerous examples of diversity in pageants. For example, Janelle Thomas was older, darker, and bigger than the typical pageant contestant, and yet she won against 10 other women in Trinidad. Also, a transgender won in Miss Maryland, USA. Does that sound narrow and unrealistic to you? My opponents also stated that the small amount of transgender women going up for pageants does not account for the amount of people in the LGBTQ community. However, if it is only a start, when we take into consideration that a transgender woman won, we cannot control who goes up for a pageant. So with one winning, others might seek to do the same. This is, again, inclusion and diversity. My opponents also stated that pageants reduce women to their physical appearance, undermining true empowerment. Judges, however, this is not true. I am sure you can think of many times when you did not find a pageant winner to be physically attractive. However, since talent, creativity, and response are taken into question, the person generally considered the most physically attractive does not win. So, with all this taken into consideration, I believe, my team and I believe, that the evidence is clear. Beauty pageants are not outdated. Modern beauty pageants play an essential role in empowering contestants, building self-esteem, showcasing skills and talents, and glorifying diversity and inclusion. Thank you.
Jazz spoke for 2 minutes and 40 seconds. All right. So this officially concludes the debate. Okay, we will ask the students from both teams. You can return to the audience and join your schoolmates. Shania Drago will escort our judges out of the room, take them to a very secure location where they will deliberate on the debate, and they will do so in 15 minutes or less. No pressure. Just give the debaters another round of applause. So you agree that they all did very well in terms of what we have heard and the deliveries that we heard today. We're not the judges, so we're not going to talk about their performance. We'll keep our opinions to ourselves. But what we are going to do is that we are going to engage in a debate of our own. Because I'm sure while they were debating, you guys were debating in your mind and you had your own views. You probably agree with some of their points, or you disagree with some, and you have your own opinion on the matter. So this is your time to shine, all right? So we ask you to make your contribution, but please refrain from commenting on the debaters or their performance, okay? I myself will admit that I really do not know a lot about pageants or pageantry. Ask me a question on law and I can answer, but when it comes to pageants, I am no good. So I'm going to leave it to all the experts inside here. As Shani said, we have experts everywhere. I'm not one on the topic, so I'm going to leave it to you guys. We have a roving mic, so just raise your hand and our assistants will come to you and you can make your point. Now, usually we begin with questions and to get the topic rolling. But like I said, I don't really know too much about the whole pageant thing, but one thing did cross my mind. Are pageants strictly for women? But I think one of the schools or somebody answered the question. And I think it was meant to say that it is progressive, but traditionally, is it that pageants are only for women, or is it that men just do not volunteer themselves because they think it's not masculine enough? Or is it that pageant actually means women on display? Somebody can answer this for me, please?
Traditionally, yeah. I mean, I think it first started on as just for women because that's what the other people want. But over time in a modern society, there is things like it has Miss Universe, but it also has Mr. Universe. So I think everybody should do a little research, you know. They're not just as important, they have just as much to offer. They're included, not excluded, men from all different backgrounds, all countries. So yes, they are included.
Keep the mic, I have a question for you. So you're saying that if people do the research, you'll find that these days it's open to everyone, but you must accept that traditionally it was really open to women. Why do you think it has been that way, or it was that way? What opinion do you have on that? Do you think there was a particular reason why pageants were women-centric only? Because everything we do normally, there's a reason behind it. What do you think the reason was keeping it only?
My opinion on that, it may
Do
not
not
be
sue
everyone's
us, opinion.
It's my opinion. I think maybe before it was more to objectify women. 'Cause I feel like if you went to a pageant back in the day, you'd probably find a lot of men watching their women in their nice things, showing off all their, you know, they were objectifying women. But as time came along, women took it as a way to progress, you know.
As we should.
Yeah, to show different things. We made it our own. We take something bad, made it into something good, included others. Talk about different things, different like mental illness, suicide, them kind of thing. We made it our own. We made it good. So it didn't turn out bad, did it?
Fine, that's a good response. Yes, all right, thank you for that. Okay, so she's saying that initially she suspects that the pageant started as a way of maybe objectifying women. So women find out, okay, we want to see the men too. Is that it? So now the men are part of the pageants. So it doesn't mean that there is nothing wrong with objectifying the human body. Is it okay to objectify the human body, whether it's man or woman? No? Mike.
I do believe a lot of time in pageants, they try to objectify it. Like the prize is your body, the prize is how you put yourself, the prize is, for you to be able to get a prize, you have to be able to speak well. It's basically you, that is the prize, and you have to try and fit into what they're looking for. And that is why I agree with what the Wesley High is proposing, because although it might have some diversity, it has certain things that the judge is looking for. And these things that the judges are looking for, sometimes they disagree with race. Like for example, all those, you know, much people doing cosmetic surgery before they compete in pageants because of that norm, or I know a lot of people, they go on weight loss trainings before they compete in pageants. Although they even take pills to reduce their size because of pageants. Because although we might say they include plus size in the normal traditional one, they don't. Usually they will either make a whole other competition for plus size people because they know they will not be competing on the same level.
Anybody else wants to comment on what somebody has already said, or can I throw more wrenches in your sink? Now, somebody made an interesting point about renaming beauty pageants to pageants. Do you think that would make a difference to the whole way that we view pageants, especially in our modern society, and why? Renaming the thing from beauty pageant to just pageant. Or maybe let me stretch it a little further. Do you really think that in order for us to showcase skills and talents, as some of the points that were brought up, we must do it within a pageantry, or are there others? So it's two questions basically. Should we rename the whole thing from beauty pageant to just pageant? And if we take it further, can we even just have people displayed in another forum, another way, in order to showcase the skills and the talents that we spoke about? Yes, Miss.
Okay, so I am a pageant enthusiast. When I saw that topic,
You're an expert.
no, not in a charity sense of it, but I am really an enthusiast. And when I saw that topic, it got me to think differently about pageants. I mean, really and truly, to be eligible there, you have to feel or fit certain criteria. So as long as there are criteria, then you are excluding some people. And I think that is essentially what the proposing team was maybe presenting to us. In terms of how can we empower people, an event such as this, we have a public speaking competition. You don't have to be subjected to public criticism to really develop your public speaking skills. I mean, apart from the public speaking skills, you have to model, you have all the other things, as this young lady said, and you are really being judged on a wider spectrum. Your beauty is, your attractiveness is really put out there on the stage, and that is what most of the criteria look at: impact, attractiveness, your fit of your outfit, your fit of your swimwear, your muscle tone, as one of the young ladies said. So a lot of it boils down to attractiveness at the end of the day.
Okay, so you say despite the fact that on the other end there are attractive rewards, there are other criteria in terms of the outcome you get to enhance certain skills. But you're saying from the very inception, from the selection process, this is where you're saying it is exclusive. Okay. Somebody on the opposing side? Or if you have another point.
I was just going to add, and the very fact that you really have to enter a beauty contest to get a scholarship, that does not really, and if you look for scholarship requirements, if you go online and look for the requirements of scholarship, do they judge that in the beauty pageant? And the fact that you are exempting certain people from participating, you are saying that this other set of people, they are not entitled to the scholarships that you're offering on the stage because they are not part of the beauty or the pageant, whatever you want to call it, but this one is a beauty one, and because they do not fit the beauty criteria, all right, then they are not eligible to get that scholarship. So what are we saying?
So in other words, the end does not justify the means, what you're saying. All right, fair enough. Anybody else has anything you want to say in relation to the point? Are you your teacher? No, yes. Me? Not you, I know you, Carbon. I talked with you. I talked with you, Carbon. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. I've not been keeping up to date for principalship. I know you're a new principal, right? I know Miss Irish. So I'm going to okay. Alright, I'm outdated, okay. I must say I don't keep up with things sometimes. But you made a very interesting point, especially coming from, because you said you're a pageant enthusiast. I know she's also a pageant, so I'm coming to her next, she just watched how she's sitting there all poised. She's in pageant position. So I know you have something to say about what Miss, the principal said. Mrs. Rabes, sorry about that.
The topic is very well. I felt the topic was interesting. I chose it, but what I feel is a good measure, possibly, of everything we're discussing is the participation in pageants and the audience's interest in pageants, and I think that is something we haven't touched on yet in this discussion. How, if we're talking about a society that is changing as per the topic, it's becoming more inclusive and focused on diversity. What then is the participation rate telling us about how pageants are perceived in this changing society? So that is a particular point that I just want to tease. Mr. Jam, not taking away the moderator. I wanted to tease that because I'm looking at pageants in this carnival season and the numbers are fairly low in terms of the contestants. participating. And then when I look at turnout at pageants, the audiences are becoming lower and lower in number as well. So it's something that is striking me as, is this because the society is changing and people do not feel that pageantry is reflective of the modern view on inclusivity and diversity, or is it, something else? So that's arguable. Is it the economy? Is it something else? Is it something else? But as it relates to the point, I see points on both sides of the argument, of course. I do see that pageantry can impact people in other ways apart from their beauty, display. I have seen people, have coached people year after year in speaking for pageants, and I don't think if they were taking part in the pageant, they would seek coaching for public speaking, so at least that is some sort of that gives them some sort of impetus to actually try to improve on a particular skill, that's public speaking. So I see different positive aspects of pageantry, but I do see some of the exclusion, particularly, and I heard that brought up in the debate, the weight exclusion that is pretty clear. And another one is the whole age and having a child exclusion. That one is also pretty clear. I remember for the Miss What Do We at pageant, when the criteria were released, people took it to task as it relates to having a child. What does a cultural pageant, why should you not have a child if you're taking part in a culturally based pageant? Why should you be of a certain size, for a culturally based pageant? So these questions do lead us to look at the exclusion that is possibly involved in pageantry. But once again, interesting topic, I think. I like the arguments that are coming up.
On the point of child, whether you should be, I had a very interesting experience when I was maybe 18. That's my closest experience to pageantry, where I was approached. I was walking with a friend, plus size friend, and this guy came up to us and he said, hello, ignored my friend. I was up in my face, and the first question, he didn't ask me my name or anything. Are you a child? That was the question. I thought that was a very strange question, so I asked him why. He said, because I think you would be a perfect candidate for the Miss Dominica pageant. Okay? And trust me, I'm fat now. Alright? I was Meg. Alright? So, again, when we look at the topic, in that just a little experience, I knew right away that my friend was not included at all. I will not call the person's name, but she was not included at all. So, and yes, we have arguments saying that we have moved from that ideology to a new ideology, but as Ms. Christian said, instead of the numbers. So if we're saying that now it's inclusive, why are the numbers dwindling? Anybody has a reason for that? For Miss Teenage Pageant, we only have 4. I think we have 4 participants. For Miss Dominica, we only have about, what? 5? So I'm not sure you all can help me. Remember, I know nothing about pageants, so people who know, let us know what's happening.
I feel like people don't really participate anymore because it takes a lot of training to do those things. And sometimes people getting less comfortable in their skin. So I feel like a lot of people before used to be more confident about themselves because people in the industry, they used to scrutinize it, but it didn't used to be as bad as it is now. Like, I feel like eating disorders are very high right now, and I know of people that did pageants that after they finished the pageants, they had eating disorders because they find themselves not good enough and things like that. So I feel like also people see the past scrutiny that other people have, and they don't want to do it themselves, and they don't put themselves in the spotlight or those negative comments to reach them.
Fair enough. I think this.
I also believe that
You're next.
Social media can be so brutal. It's like, why would I put myself on that stage to just be criticized, to be objectified for what? For a scholarship that
Your face,
No, but we have to be real. Before, right? You would have to attend the pageant for you to see the pageant. Right now, the contestants, they are out there. And before they even get on stage, they even have a poll to tell you who's going to win. I mean, you're going to objectify yourself. We have to be real.
I think it's both economics, and a lot of them are getting involved because the end result is getting a scholarship.
From that angle, economics as in they don't have the money to.
Yes, yeah, that's so two reasons.
Okay.
So economics, because I mean, if I don't have the money to get a scholarship, I know if I enter a pageant, the prize is a scholarship. And if we, at the end of the day, it could be felt that it's not worth it, because the talk around town is that prizes are not being given. For years, contestants are waiting for their prizes. And if I have to go through all that, spend all that money, and I have to wait all that time to get a scholarship, it doesn't make sense. The benefit of public speaking and all those things in between is not worth it. So I think those are reasons why the numbers are dwindling in the participants.
Okay, I find that Mike has been on this side of like this to Orion. All the people on this side, let me hear your views.
Yes, so what I wanted to add is that aside from criteria, I think another thing that we should bring attention to is that as much as they might try to be inclusive and try to open it up to encourage more people and more different diversities to participate, it is still all depends on the people to actually go up and participate. Because as much as they might want to be more inclusive, if people are not willing to volunteer, they are kind of control that fact. And adding to the point that she made in the corner is that in the modern day, I think we are a lot more judgmental, especially with how accessible social media is and how safe people feel on social media to say certain things that they normally wouldn't say face to face. So it has increased a lot of criticism, and it's made a lot of people afraid to do things that maybe back then they would have been more emboldened to do. So I think it has a lot to do with that.
Like what Premier said, people have lost that confidence. Even with all the things like body positivity movement and so on, you still find people are not as confident in their skin as before. Okay, point taken. Only one person in Orion speaking to us today. Go ahead, feel free.
I think she really highlighted what I really wanted to see. But over there, I really dealt with criticism a lot. We are talking about the pageants themselves, but it seems that the people watching the pageants are the one that is criticizing more than the judges. The people watching are the one that is looking at the people based on their bodies, how they look, while the judges actually have to look at many different things. And someone also talked about the scholarships and no, because so much was said over there that my mind doesn't.
You're taking your notes.
I'll come back to that.
All right, so you made the point that it's somebody mentioned it as well. It's human. The issue is not really the pageant, but it's human bias. But can't we agree that, I mean, what if the organizers of the pageants, because we talk about the judges, you just talk about the judges, you talk about the audience, but doesn't it really begin with the organizers, the people who determine what the criteria is? Isn't that where the focus should be? Because what if the criteria was essentially very limited? As long as you could string two words together, you could take part in any pageant in Dominica, anywhere in the world. Wouldn't that be a better criteria for entry? No? And that would remove all the stigma and all the exclusion that we talk about. Anybody could enter. Or is it that in pageantry, the experts I need you here now, that pageantry has to follow a certain line or any other fields in careers, some careers you do have certain specifications, but by and large, these days, anybody can basically become anything. So why are pageants different? Why is it different for pageants? And in that same vein, do you think because of that pageants are in fact outdated? Because they're following old traditional norms and they're not moving with the times. Yes, please. Mike.
She's missed away.
Okay, so you go after, you go second.
Okay, so I just wanted
to open by saying, can everyone who can run, can they go to the Olympics? No. All competitions are subjective in some way. Not everyone can enter every competition. So I need to say, just because you can string two words together, should you go up for Miss Dominica? No, because that would completely dissolve the need for that competition, right? Even in debates, because you can speak English doesn't mean you can go for debates. There is criteria, and that is normal for competitions. That is the point of a competition, to see the best of the best. Am I saying that pageants right now are the best they could be? No. But as we have discussed, they are evolving from where they started. They actually started as just in a ballroom, girls dancing, and they pick whichever one they deemed the most attractive. But now they have evolved to so much more, right? We have talent rounds, we have speaking rounds, we have the whole campaign before the pageant even begins that has nothing to do with beauty and everything to do with how these young women or men or whoever showcase themselves and their talent, their ability to find sponsors even, is a skill that they have to learn to do. Because if they don't find sponsors, they cannot even participate. So all of these are things that are not centered around beauty, that pageants promotes and develop. Additionally, I want to touch on the audience participation. And have been trends of lower participation, of people coming to pageants, and so on and so forth. However, I want to say the correlation does not mean causation, right? We see lower participation rates in even calypso competitions, even public speaking competitions. Who's here? The teams of the schools, and then a few extra people. We are seeing across the country people just being less interested in going out in general. Even carnival events are not completely sold out, which is rare. There are events that still have tickets on sale, and carnival is week after next. So I don't think it is a pageant thing. People are not interested in pageants. It is something else. We cannot blame pageants for that when we see across, the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contributions. Yes.
I realize we still sort of doing the bullying sides thing. The disclaimer is normally given by the moderator that once the judges, revert back into their room for them to be able to deliberate, that we no longer have to hold to our side. So I'm going to break away from my side.
Speak free.
Exactly. I'm going to break away from anyone who knows me knows that I don't participate in pageantry types of events or attend, so it's not really my thing. And I do believe that by nature they are extremely biased towards individuals who have sort of like the typical body type and more Eurocentric features and features that are attractive. So yeah, by that definition, of course, they're definitely biased, definitely. But it was interesting to me.
I'm going to send a note to the judges.
Yeah, tell them I said that. It was interesting to me as a coach to do this research, because one of the questions we asked Mr. Lawrence, is there a specific rule, weight, and measurement for the contestants? Because that's something we really wanted to know, and he said no, there's not. So now there are things that hint towards it. So for example, muscle tone and so on. But there is no specific on the books rule, specific weight.
but they are required to submit their weight, though. I think somebody said that.
So they submit it, and of course, the panel, whoever's the choosing panel will have to go for that information. But there's nothing written. So it's not written down in the
custom then.
So that's the question we have to ask ourselves. Is this sort of what society expects to see on the pageant stage? Or is this what the pageant rules and requirements have outlined as being the necessity? And that's where, there's sort of like a little bit of a conflict. So of course my personal opinion stands. It's definitely, women parading around bikinis. but honestly, doing the research, it was nice that I kind of realized things that I didn't know before, that it was not as restrictive as I may have previously thought. Yeah.
Thank you very much. On that note, we'll just stick a pin in the discussions for a while, and I'm going to acknowledge our sponsors once again. Without them, this very elegantly organized debate would not be possible. We would like to thank the following persons: the National Bank of Dominica, the Republic Bank, Jace Bookstore Limited, the Wasco, DBS Radio, Q95, FM Radio, Domlec, Moron Company Limited, National Cooperative Credit Union Limited, Fort Young Hotel, Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited, HHV Whitchurch and Company Limited, Lindomart, Insurance Company of the West Indies, Fine Foods Inc., KFC, Catherine Abraham, Dr. Joshua Lloyd and Mrs. Corinne C. Lloyd, Civic Vibes, Maysil Pascal and Grace Foundation, Janine Christian, Freeman Consulting LLC, and on board with us for today, we also have Finance Focus, who's awarding a prize to the best speaker, and also the Watering Can, who is responsible for the judges' tokens. We'd also like to thank our partners who have been with us from the inception: the Dominica State College Literary and Debating Society, the University of the West Indies Global Campus, the Ministry of Education, HR Planning, Vocational Training and National Excellence, and Exquisite Events and Rentals. Thank you very much, sponsors and partners, for your contribution. All right, so I'm sure 50 minutes have passed and our judges have not returned. I suspect, because when I listened to the arguments, even as the moderator, I suspected that, the judges might have a bit of difficulty in their deliberations. You might beg to differ. You might feel like you were hands-on, and they might feel like they were hands-on, but it seemed to be a very tight race. So it's like, yes, perfect timing. Okay. Take a minute. All right. I know we cut the discussion short. Does there anybody want to make any little final point before we continue with the official debate? No. Okay. So we welcome our judges back to the room. Okay, and before we go into the results, we will have our chief judge, that is Mr. Brenton Hilaire, who will deliver the judge's critique. Okay, so let's welcome Mr. Hilaire to the podium. Let's see what the judges have to say.
Good afternoon. I first of all want to thank both participating schools on behalf of the judges. I want to congratulate the participants for being brave enough to come up here and speak to the audience and to those who are listening online, because public speaking is not an easy thing. So whether you win or whether you do not win, you are still a winner. Think about the experience that you have gained and the practice that you have received. Generally speaking, from having a discussion with the judges, we felt that the introductions were very good. Both sides came out and they made it very clear the sort of direction that they were going to take and the approach that they were going to use in delivering their presentation. So it was easier for us to follow. Also, we felt that on both ends, we could see that effort was made to justify the points, even to the extent where, in the absence of statistical or scientific data, they were able to come up with concepts that sort of opened up our minds. So we want to congratulate you on that sort of effort that was placed on this particular topic. We also saw, in most instances, a high level of preparation. And the reason why we say that is there was a bit more of a natural flow to the presentations, less reliance on papers. We saw more eye contact. We heard a natural tone in terms of how the presentations were made. And we want to encourage you to continue doing so, because it makes your presentation more appealing when you speak more freely and naturally rather than reading off of paper. In terms of areas for improvement, there were two areas that we wanted to share with you all for the future, whether it is for the sake of this competition or whether it is in just your life in general. We want to encourage you to use more vocal variety, and that speaks to increasing your voice at times, or maybe speaking more softly at times, knowing when to speed up, knowing when to pause, because that helps to deliver some of your points. And also the body language that you use plays a big part of your presentation. So when you know when to move your hand left or right, up or down, or you point it forward, that can also add value to your presentation. But be careful at the same time in terms of how you practice doing so. You should focus on mastering one aspect, whether it is vocal variety first, before moving on to body language. The other aspect that we wanted to speak to is we felt that more emphasis could have been made towards the of the presentation. So a lot of good information was shared with us, but we did not feel that there was a direct link between pageantry and it being outdated. For example, what was, what is, what has been the difference from back then to now. But overall, it was a very exciting and interesting debate, and we want to once again congratulate both parties, and we wish you all the best in your future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hilaire. Now it's time for the moment that everybody is here waiting for. But before I release the scores, we're going to name. I've decided that the best speaker for this afternoon's debate is the first speaker from the proposing team, Ms. Adore Difo. So, forgive me, but I need to bring our debaters back to the podium. So, Ms. Adore, just hold on a while, you will get your prize in a minute. So, we just want to call the speakers, the debaters back to the front. Ms. Adore Difo for the Wesley High School proposing team, and on the opposing side, we have Mr. Charles Maxwell and Ms. Hafsa Francois. Before I give the results, this Christian has one small announcement, so just indulge us a bit. Thank you.
Really quickly, but normally the winning schools, of course, in one round will move to the next round. This round, we have 3 dates. We'll have 3 winning schools. The next round, the semi-finals, will require 4 schools. So what that means is that in the debate where the margin of victory was the narrowest, that school will also move on to the semi-finals. So please listen keenly to the results, because it means that the school that does not win here this afternoon might still be called on to join us in the semi-finals. Okay?
Thank you. So let's do this again. The judges have awarded the best speaker prize to Ms. Adore Difo, the lead speaker. Okay, so I'll just give the overall score and declare the winner, and then we'll give the individual prizes. Now, the total prize that any team can score today is 780 points. We have one team getting a total of 520 points, and the other team a total of 636 points. The team that has amassed 520 points is the proposing team. That's the Wesley High School, and our opposing team, 636 points, that is the Orion Academy. congratulations to the speakers of the Wesley High School and your supporting team. You guys did great as well. Everybody did an excellent job today. And now we're going to call just to say as well that the prize for the best speaker, which went to Miss Adore Defoe, was donated by the Finance Focus. Thank you very much, Ms. Christian. So we want to thank Finance Focus for that. And now we move on to we will give the prizes for the runners-up first. And so we will call our lead speaker from the Wesley High School, Adore, to receive a certificate and the prize. It's Nayola Allen, second speaker from the Wesley High School. Come up. We will now award the prizes for the winning team. That is the Orion Academy. And first up, we have Mr. Jazz Maxwell, our lead speaker for Orion Academy. Followed by Ms. Hafsa Francois, our second speaker. Okay, let's just give them a round of applause. As is customary, we normally award or give a prize to the coach or the teacher of the runner-up school. And I have down to receive that prize on behalf of Wesley High School, Mrs. Carbon. Congratulations, Mrs. Carbon. All right, and congratulations to all the teachers, coaches, and parents as well. You did a very good job. For the winning team, we have an award of prize, a token for okay, well, for the winning team, let's go to our judges. We want to award a small token to our judges for taking the time off from your busy schedules and coming here today to assist us with the judging. First up, we have our Chief Judge, Mr. Brenton Hilaire. Okay, second judge, Ms. Marianne Emmanuel. Thank you. And our third judge for today, Mrs. Nicole Laville. Alright, we have a small token as well for our moderator for today, yours truly. Alright, so this ends today's proceedings. We'd like to thank you all again once more for attending the debate. We'd have liked to see a bit more students, but it's not a bad turnout for today. Thank you to our judges. Thank you to all the students who are here. Thank you to any parents who are here. I know Miss Nicole's mom is here. Thank you to our teachers for your dedication and hard work. Parents, grandparents, usually parents includes parents and grandparents. I'm putting my defense in one time. So I don't see anybody here. Who's the grandparent here? Excuse me? Not my fault, you would so young, I can take you for a grandparent. Okay, so parents, grandparents, and any family, relatives, and friends who are here, we'd like to thank the media, DNO and Ego News for being here with us. You've been a good partner with us all these years. We'd like to thank our main organizer, Ms. Christian, for reviving this debate competition and for her wonderful job so far. We'd like to thank all our assistants, especially those from the Debating Society, the DSC Debating Society. Thank you, debaters, and thank you.
Inter-secondary schools debating competition 2025. Today we have the Wesley High School versus the Orion Academy on the topic Beauty Pageants are outdated in a modern society focused on diversity and inclusion. Of course, there are two more debates this week. Tomorrow the topic will be the government of Dominica should invest heavily in Goya music now to ensure future economic benefits from the genre. And we will have the Dominica Grammar School versus the St. Martin Secondary School debating tomorrow right here at the Open Campus. That's on the February 19th. For joining us today and do join us tomorrow and on Friday for the debating competition continues. Good evening.
Like the next one.
Thank you.